Hey there folks, we're here with a Jund Energy deck. So you want to see how the deck fares, gameplay is linked down in the description, deck text coming right up, sit tight. Okay, so this is more all-in sort of energy deck. It'll really just kind of just hit you all at once sort of thing. It starts slow, boom, all of a sudden you're hitting big numbers. That's just kind of how it works. You work the setup in however way you're playing against. I found that different drops for different games, that kind of thing. So, like I said, goes big, and it definitely draws the cards. It definitely does a whole bunch of things here. So, with that, we got a few strange things as well, also. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. We do a new deck every single week, so you can look forward to that. Alright, so we're starting off Greenbelt Rampager. We're running both copies of it. So 1 mana, it's a 3/4, and when it enters the battlefield, pay 2 energy, or return it to your hand and get an energy. So, energy engine, right? That's basically it. Although if your energy engine is already online, then it's a 3/4 for 1, and you might as well take it, right? Moving on, we have Gonti's Machinations. I am falling in love with this card more and more every day. So, 1 mana enchantment in black. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you get an energy counter. And, yeah, damage causes loss of life. Yeah, no kidding. Also, when it just says straight up lose life. So, you can pay 2 energy and sacrifice it, and each opponent loses 3 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Great, 2-headed giant. And it's also a bolt come the end for your extra reach. So it's an engine and then it's reach. That's how you look at it. It can keep you alive for a turn to probably do a more risky attack. That kind of stuff too. And then we're moving on to Fatal Push. So 1 black instant, destroy target creature if its convert mana cost 2 or less, and with Revolt if it's 4 or less. So with Revolt we can do it with Gontis if we need to, and various other methods. If there's some sort of blowout, then we can blow back. And yeah, it'll work out. Next 1 mana instant is Blossoming Defense. So for green, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and hexproof till end of turn. Desperately trying to protect very key pieces when they come out. Or at least, you know, stop a piece of removal so your engine can keep going. Maybe it'll blow out somebody in a certain way. And really get there. Alright, so we're moving on to Glint Sleeve Siphoner for 2 mana, 2/1 menace. And when she enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy counter. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 2 energy if you do draw a card and you lose life. Now, the big interaction here is with Gontis. So you're paying 1 life, you're drawing the card, you get the energy, and then you attack with it, and you get your second energy, you're drawing a second card each turn. That's a basic engine all on its own there. So you can use that up. So, moving on, we have Thriving Grubs for 2 mana, 2/1 in red. And when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. And when it attacks, you may pay 2 energy and put a counter on it. So, for turn 2, it's a 2/1. When it's attacking, it's a 3/2. That's relevant, and it can have some tricks behind it. Not to mention, it's 2 energy if we don't otherwise want to use it. Perhaps we know that we're going against a very, very removal-heavy game. And we're fearing board wipes, but we want to keep some sort of energy game going. Like, what if we're fearing Languish? Then we can drop this for energy and pump up the Cub out of Languish. That kind of thing. And also, card draw, if we want. Like, drop the Grubs and just attack for 2 and save the energy for the Glint Sleeve to outgame them, outdraw the counter deck. That kind of thing. Other than that, it's a pretty hefty beater, so it's got some use. Moving on, we have Long Tusks Cub, naturally for an energy deck. 2/2 for 2 and green, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy counters, and you can pay 2 energy to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So if we're soaking up a bunch of energy, and you can see where you soak up a bunch of energy, it can definitely go all into the Cub all at once very quickly. And yeah, you definitely want to, like, people will block this in the dumbest of ways just to prevent that energy. But, I mean, sure, okay. Moving on, we have Winding Constrictor. I think we've max copies of pretty much everything so far. So 2-3 for a green and a black, and if one or more creatures would be placed on an artifact or creature in this case, we get that many counters +1 on it instead. And if you would get one or more counters, then you put one more of those one or more counters on you, which would be energy. Energy be the counters on us, and +1/+1 counters all over the place is going to get doubled as well. And that's where we just get some crazy energy gain. Crazy energy gain. And so things really get absurd. And then when things like Gonti's Machinations come along, we can even draw cards through a stalled board state because we don't have to attack with Glint Sleeve at that point. It's dealing the damage to us. We gain the 2 energy and draw the card, and just we don't have to attack. We can save the energy that way. We can save the Glint Sleeve, be an engine at that point. It's pretty good. Moving on, we have Harnessed Lightning, 2 mana instant, choose target creature. You get 3 energy counters, then you pay any amount of energy to deal that much damage to a creature. So yeah, it's removal. What can I say? And it's definitely plenty of removal when you're all in energy. So pretty good there. You may notice that this deck is excessively low to the ground. I'll show you the curve near the end once we see everything. You'll see just how absurdly low to the ground it is. It needs to be to really push on our opponent hard, or play multiple things a turn, because things like Constrictor plus anything is relevant. To move on, we have Die Young for black and color. Sorcery. Choose target creature, get 2 energy counters, then you may pay any amount of energy, and it gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each energy paid this way. So same as Harness Lightning, only this can kill indestructible. So, pardon me, this is one that we're not running all the copies of everything in the world for. Just, it's here to hedge against indestructible, and that's about it, really. Although it can do some tricks. I mean, we can use it at first opportunity. It's fine. Maybe it pushes us way ahead. I'd like to keep Die Youngs for when they're very important, of course. When a very big bomb comes along, I'd just like to flat out kill it. Same with the Harnessed Lightning. Just, if we can use our creatures to overpower versus combat, then we will. And then just save these for blowouts and massive threats. Then we have 3 copies of On-Crop Crasher for 3 mana, 3/2 haste, and whenever you may exert it when it attacks, and when you do, target creature can't block this turn. So that helps us get in with things like Long Tusks Cub and Grubs and all that to get the, like, when it's a 2/1 and we want to get to a 3/2 or potentially a 4/3, and we still need it to be bigger than that. I mean, On-Crop Crasher is pretty good for just getting that initial oomph out of the way, and it's very good for that exact turn, and that's where we really get in. Menace also, if they have a double block with Menace, we can run that and really screw up their attacks so that we can get in for card draw as well. There's so many uses. I know they don't really fit the theme, but they help the deck so much. They're not always useful, but when they are, they're extremely useful. So definitely worth it. Then we have Olivia, Mobilized for War. If there was any deck for her, this is it. This card is amazing in this deck. So for 3 mana, black and a red, 3/3 flyer. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may discard a card. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. It gains haste till end of turn and becomes a vampire. So, cast a snake, discard a card, make a 4/5 with haste. Things like that. Long Tusks Cub, coming at you all at once as a 3/3 to start. Pretty good. Thriving Grubs, after the attack, suddenly is a 4/3 just out of nowhere with just Olivia. So there's lots of options, and it can get absurd with any combination of these actually sticking to the battlefield. So it's a lot of surprises all at once. Olivia is just surprise incarnate. It's just, hi, this is big. Deal with it. She's very nice. Also, she is our flyer hedge. She is what we're going to do to get rid of planeswalkers and everything like that. She is very much an all-star in this deck. Very useful. Yeah, very good. So now we have Lid Fast, and you'd say, what about Read the Bones? Yeah, you want to see how much energy this draws? We'll just take any cards, honestly. We'll take whatever comes up. We'll take the energy and give ourselves an engine on the battlefield. The energy is wonderful. So for 3 mana sorcery, you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, and get 2 energy counters. Know what that does? Yeah, we draw the 2 cards. We don't get the scry like Read the Bones. But we do get the lose 2 life, and we also get the energy counters. Now, what's energy counters do with any of this? Oh yeah. What's lose 2 life do? Yeah, more of energy. Lots more energy. So, absolutely useful. The cards all kind of work around each other, work together. And yeah, we're running all 4 copies just so that we can draw out. Also, versus control, pretty good. They do all their first initial turns. You draw cards, you get your mana set up, and then you just slam them with everything you got. Slam down Olivia, why not? Then throw everything at them all at once with haste and watch them scramble a little bit. It's come up. It's come up before. I'll say that. So, next up we have Nissa Voice of Zendikar for 3 mana, double green, 3 loyalty planeswalker. This snake's in here. I had to do this. Pardon me. For +1, you could get an 0/1 green plant creature token on the battlefield. Works with Olivia if you want to make it a 2/2 immediately. That's entirely up to you. You can do that. -2, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Then those plant tokens are getting even bigger with Olivia. You get the idea. -7, you gain X life, draw X cards. You know what? We're just using the counters. Screw that ultimate. It could come up, but I highly doubt it. Well, let's just not look at it. I highly doubt that's going to come up. We're going to throw counters at the moment we draw a snake and just slam in there, right? And then one of our curve toppers, which is 2 cards at 4 mana, Hazoret the Fervent for 4 mana, 5/4 in red, indestructible haste, can't attack block unless you have 1 or few cards in hand. You see that the curve is low, and we have Olivia to discard, so we're all right there. Hazoret will usually come down unless we're flooded, because we can usually play out quite a bit. But then again, we have the card draw like crazy as well. So Hazoret is kind of a mix between that and the card draw, and a lot of times we might just actually favor the card draw unless we need to stay alive. And just let Hazoret sit there and just ping our opponent or something like that in the meantime. That kind of thing. You're going to get all these cards, let's just draw options and ping our opponent rather than, it's easy. So, for 2 and red, discard a card. Hazoret deals 2 damage to each opponent. That's the thing which I was mentioning. And there you go. Just flat out useful. Chandra, Torch of Defiance is our final card. So, for 2 red, 2 colorless, 4 loyalty planeswalker, +1, exile the top card of your library. You may cast the card. If you don't, exile it and deal 2 damage to each opponent. Of course, it's more card advantage. That's what she's in here for. However, the ramp is also relevant so that we can play out more crazy shenanigans. So the other +1, add 2 red to your mana pool. A -3, also relevant, so that we can go swing in with our crazy ever-growing force. So, -3, deal 4 damage to target creature. And then the -7, hey, it's win the game. That's all it is. It's just like, okay, -7, now we win. That's all it is. Okay, so that's all the non-lands. For the lands, we're running 3 swamps, 3 mountains, 4 forests, 2 Smoldering Marsh, 2 Woodland Cemetery, 2 Rootbound Crag, 2 Dragon Skull Summit, and 3 Aether Hub. So pretty much we're running max of about everything, except for we are not running the Gruul version of this particular land, just so that we have a few basics and can get things in untapped most times. As much as possible, because we are low to the ground, so we have to be able to stay low to the ground. So we're going to play as many tricks as possible, as quickly as we can, and we need untapped stuff in order to do that. So again, I was going to say the curve. There's your curve right there. So 11 1-drops, 17 2-drops, 9 3-drops, and 2 4-drops. It is excessively low to the ground. You may notice things like Bristling Hydra and all that. Why? Know why? We're running 21 lands, so that when our card draw hits, it hits. It absolutely hits. We are running the minimum amount of lands that this deck will probably allow. Although, maybe you can go down to 20 at your own discretion. If you find something that's better than that, at your own discretion. That's also why I don't have things like, oh, Doofus, that's an artifact. Ballista. That's why I don't have Ballista in here, is because our land count's too low. That's why I don't have Tireless Tracker, because our land count is too low. We draw into the lands, yes, but we're just going with hard draw spells in order to really get there. Synergistic ones. We don't have the time to be cracking clues. We just can't pull it off. So we're going to give counters to things like Thriving Grubs instead. And focus our direction that way. Verger's Gearhulk, a little too big for the deck. There's lots of things that are just too big for the deck. And so we're just sitting with low to the ground straight up and minimal lands. And just try to storm them as quickly as possible. Our card draw will give us our land drops and give us our drops for the turns when we need them. So that we can continue to just go in there full force. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, gameplay is linked down in the description if you want to see how the deck fares. And I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.